Hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to episode 3 of Mindset Mondays. Today, we're diving into topics of infertility. We're talking about dissociation and how to move forward after a lot of grief. We're also talking about comparison and letting comparison steal our joy. So come with me on this journey. I hope you'll dive in with me on this beautiful Monday. Let's get started. So we've had an anonymous submission and it is a little long, so I am going to read it, but if you would just like to pause and read, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So she says, I had severe anxiety and depression 5 years ago and was put on a lot of medication. I was seeing a therapist, which I thought was helpful until she had to take some time off and I started seeing someone new who has helped me immensely, but I still have struggles. I am now on only 2 medications, down from 6. I had severe agoraphobia where I couldn't leave my house, which was hard, but I'm better now with that. With my new therapist, I found out that I tend to dissociate in many situations, and even though she has been helpful, I still do it, and I would love tips on changing that so I don't do it as often. I know that reading is what I do to dissociate/block out my emotions. I have always been the fixer and helper, and I know now that I have always put others before myself. Now, I have done a lot of work on myself and getting better at putting myself first, but still struggling with accepting that it's okay to say no when I don't want to do something. The other things is that since I lost my dad, his side of the family has basically dropped us and there has been no communication. That was very hard for me as we were close. And I struggled with that loss as well to the point where I found peace that things aren't going to be the same. And I am okay with that until my grandfather passed this February. And I found that I blocked the emotions. My sister and mom want me to forgive and forget everything and move on. The part that I struggle with is that I have accepted and I am okay with how things are now, but they are pressuring me to pursue a relationship with them now that my grandfather has passed. And the old part of who I was wants to do it, but I have put a lot of work in myself and I feel like I shouldn't have to change to make everyone else happy. But still, that old part of me that just wants to make everyone happy, so I guess that's what I'm asking for. Ways to help me not feel so guilty to revert to old ways. I know it's hard for my sister and mom as I'm not the person I was, and I'm happy with the changes I've made, but they can't seem to accept it, and that's my struggle. Okay. Thank you so much for your submission. And the first thing I want to say is you have done so much work. Give yourself credit where credit is due, and girl, you have literally done the work. You are doing the work. So give yourself credit. This work, all the things that you're doing, this is hard. This is very difficult stuff. Changing behaviors that we have been ingrained and been practicing for literal, decades, right? I mean, if you're over the age of 20, decades is accurate. So the thing is you are trying to change behaviors that you've been using for decades. So give yourself some grace and understand that this is not an immediate. You're not able to immediately change behaviors you've been using for this long. So at that fact too, your family is not going to accept that you're this changed person after however long it's been since you've been trying to make these changes, right? The first thing I want to tell you, sweet friend, is celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins. And I feel like you are, right? Because you made a point to tell me that you went from 6 medications down to 2, but I feel like you're not giving yourself enough credit. You're not celebrating your wins enough because you have done so much, and I hope that you feel very proud of yourself. This is tough shit. So give yourself some grace and love yourself for all that you have done because it's impressive. The first thing I'd like to address is the dissociation. Dissociation is your brain's way of trying to protect you. And right now, reading is your escape. Reading is your protection, right? It's protecting you from being overwhelmed. It's protecting you from these really big feelings that are happening. But The goal is to do it in maybe healthier ways, or to get to a point where you don't need to do that and you feel comfortable feeling your feelings. What I would recommend doing is try practicing other ways to stay present in the moment without dissociating. So it sounds like you've reached the very first order of business, which is recognizing that we do this. You have recognized that you do dissociate. So when I was going through this, because I did the same thing, okay, I either dissociate with reading or I dissociate with social media. Doom scrolling is, it will be the death of me, let me tell you. So the first part, in my opinion, is to recognize that you're doing this. Even if it's in the middle of doing it and you say, oh, I'm dissociating. I'm avoiding something, okay? It sounds like you're there. You know that you're doing it. Now it's about changing the behavior and actually trying to do something different. So a couple of options that I would recommend to you, and everyone's different. So maybe one of these will work well for you. Maybe one of them you're going to be like, yeah, that's not for me, but try them. Just see how you feel when you try them. So first off, try a grounding technique. Have you ever heard of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique? So you name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And what this does is it literally brings your brain to focus on your current present state. No matter what you're dissociating from, no matter what emotion you're feeling that you're avoiding, it brings you to your current present. And even though you're focusing on all of your 5 senses, it's also letting your body know, like, hey, I'm safe. Okay, we're seeing things, we're hearing things, we're touching things, we're tasting things. All of these things are happening right here in this moment. I am safe. This feeling of anxiety or this feeling of depression or whatever it is you're feeling, this feeling of anger, sadness, grief, whatever it is, yes, it's there, but also I am here in this present moment and I am safe. So try that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Also, if you're a parent and you have kids and they're having a tantrum, I have also tried this with my kids. Oh my gosh, let's play a game. Can you name 5 things that you can see? I don't know why it works, but it really works. Anyway, that's unrelated. Another option, meditating. Meditating can be hard for some, but it is a practice that I heavily believe in. And it has really changed my thought processes for myself. So where everyone's like, how do you meditate? How do you meditate? Here's the thing. Sit down in the quiet, set a timer for however long you want to meditate for, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I would highly recommend at least 30 minutes, but literally set a timer so that you're not checking how much time is left, or you're not checking the time, or you're not checking your phone or feeling like, oh my God, what's happening? Set a timer, dedicate the amount of time you want to dedicate to it. Sit down, close your eyes, you're done. Yes, your mind will wander. Try to bring your mind back to your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Oh, I gotta go grocery shopping. Oh, and now I'm on grocery shopping, okay? Breathing in, breathing out. Oh, I gotta go pick up the kids from school in a few minutes. Okay, no, now I'm talking about school. Okay, breathing in. And think of it as like you're at the gym and you're doing reps, okay? These are brain reps. Every time you bring your brain back to your breath, that's a rep. Don't beat yourself up for it. Don't be like, oh, I can't do this. I can't sit with my own thoughts. Don't do that. Oh, I recognized it again. Now we're back to the breath. Okay, that's 1 rep. And just sit there. Our society puts so much weight into stimulation. We are constantly stimulated with our phones, with TV, with social media, with everything around us. There is constant stimulation. Sit in the quiet with your own thoughts as often as possible. It will change your life. Last but not least, what I would highly recommend doing is checking in with your emotions. When you find yourself dissociating, when you recognize that you're doing it, another word for dissociating could be numbing. If you find yourself numbing or dissociating, ask yourself, am I avoiding something? What am I feeling right now? What's going on? Why did I pick up my phone just now? What just happened? Okay? And if you need to, journal. If you like talking out loud, or if you have the space to be able to talk out loud, sometimes I can't. Like, I can't just vent out loud because I have my kids, right? And I don't want them to hear, what's up here? Is she crazy? So write it out. Write it out on a piece of paper. If you don't feel safe writing it out or having that like physical evidence, burn it when you're done. Do what you need to do, but get it out. Let your body feel what's going on. Because the thing is, even if you think you're not feeling it, even if you're stuffing it down, it's going to come back up eventually. Even if you're stuffing it down and you're not feeling it in this moment, it will come back to haunt you. It could come back in 10 years. It could come back in 10 minutes. But I promise if you don't allow yourself to feel the feelings, you will be forced to at some point that is inconvenient for you. Okay? That used to happen to me a lot. I used to push my emotions down, suppress them. And then at the drop of a fucking hat, dude, it could come out as just an anger, rage blow up because I had stuffed so many little emotions down that it just came boiling over into spillage, into a rage fit. It was bad. Allow yourself to feel the feelings as they come. If you're not used to this, try journaling, try venting out loud. Just to yourself. You don't have to do it to someone else, just to yourself, and just get it out. Allow yourself to identify what's going on, feel it, and not avoid it. Moving on to the next part of your message, when you talked about your grief and your family and the things that they expect of you, or them not accepting the changes that you've had, this is all very tough. And I know I've said this before, but seriously, give yourself some grace. And also, try to give your family grace too. Understand that if they expect things of you, it's because, and this is tough love, big sis advice, right? It's because we have trained them to expect things of us. We have always said yes to their wants and needs. So when we start saying no, that's confusing. What? She doesn't say no to me. Let me push harder, right? So they're going to push that boundary because they're like, wait, no, she always says yes. She always does what I want her to do. I'm going to push harder until I get that yes. And this could look as, offensive. We could take this as offensive. We could take this as not accepting our boundaries. But here's the thing. Boundaries are for you. People will push your boundaries. It is up to you to hold them. So something you put in here, you said, I feel that I shouldn't have to change to make everyone else happy, but still that old part of me that wants to just make everyone happy. So I guess that's what I'm asking, for ways to help me not feel so guilty, to revert to old ways. Here is something that I had to learn, and it has been incredible to take this on. You cannot make anyone feel anything. Sit with that. You cannot make someone angry. You cannot make someone happy. Let's dive into it. And alternatively, no one can make you happy and no one can make you angry. Dive into it a little bit more. You choose to react with anger due to someone's actions. Let's say someone screams in your face. someone screams in your face and you go, I don't appreciate being treated that way. I'm going to walk away now until you have the decency to treat me with respect. Or you go, don't scream in my face like that. That's unacceptable. You're so disrespectful. Right? You either chose to stay calm or you chose to react with anger. They did not make you do either one of those. You are in charge of 3 things. There are 3 things in life that you can control. The things you think, the things you say, and the things you do. That's it. If it does not fall into one of these 3 categories, there is no point in you trying to control it. You will only hurt yourself in trying to control if it's out of those 3 categories. What you say, what you think, and what you do. They cannot make you feel anything. If you give them your power, if you say they made me angry, you have literally handed them your power and said, you can make me feel emotions, and I'm going to let you make me feel whatever you want me to feel. Take it back. Take your power back. It is yours. You get to decide if you feel angry over any situation or if you feel happy over any situation. Your reactions are your choice. So, when you say, I shouldn't have to change to make everyone else happy, you're right. But even if you did change, that doesn't mean that that would make them happy. You can't make anyone happy. Either they love you for who you are, growing as a person, having boundaries, sticking to your boundaries, or you know that they are not meant to be in this phase of life with you. And that feels very hard, especially when they are people that you love dearly. But that's the reality of it. I am protecting my peace. I am protecting my happiness. These are my boundaries. You follow them or you see yourself out of my life. I hope this helps, sweet friend. Please let me know if you need me to dive into anything else, like any deeper in details, or if you want me to elaborate on anything, but I hope this helps. You are doing the work. You are doing a great job, and I hope you continue to, even with the people around you trying to push your boundaries. That is what they are meant to do, and you have the power to hold your boundaries. I love you. Moving on to Jackie. Jackie says, don't know if this will be a good talking point for you or not, but growing up, I always struggled with feeling like I was behind everyone in terms of dating, grades, jobs, etc. I've been working on it a lot myself over the years that I know everyone is meant to be on their own timeline and I shouldn't rush anything or be jealous of what others have. Be thankful for what I do have and how far I have come because there is someone who wishes they have what I have. I guess I would just like to hear your take on this and if there's anything else that would help with this mindset. Thank you for your submission, Jackie. First off, I want to say that you are doing the work, right? You understand that gratitude is so powerful, and that is a huge shift in mindset alone. Like trying to switch to a mindset of gratitude is 1, hard, and 2, it is very powerful. And I think you're starting to see that, but it sounds like there's still just a missing piece for you. So what if we took what you said, where you said everyone is on their own timeline? What if we took that and completely took it away and said, what if there's no timeline at all? I feel like society these days has really hammered into us, whether it be social media or society or the news or just, I mean, schools, I feel like there is just this expectation on everyone's life. You go to school, you go to college, you get a good job, you get married, you have the kids, you work your life away, you retire, you travel, you do all the things, and you have like this, like life gives you a checklist or something. What if we just didn't have that? What if there wasn't a timeline at all? What if there wasn't a checklist and you understood that your path is just yours alone, not compared to theirs? Maybe you are exactly where you're supposed to be in your lifetime. Now, I don't know if you are religious at all, so I like to use the term higher power. You can substitute that with God. You can substitute that with the universe. You can substitute that with whatever your heart desires. But if you believe in anything else out there, that everything happens as it's meant to. When you look back in your life and you look at the hardship, let's take something really freaking hard that you went through. Can you look back at that and see how that got you to where you are today? Can you maybe see a lesson that you learned from that hardship that you use today? Can you start to see how our hardships are meant to happen to propel us forward? And how everything we go through in life is just a part of our experience in this weird floating circle in space that we all happen to live on. There's no rules. Who made that up? Someone made that up once upon a time. I don't think anyone truly knows what we're doing here. Who decided that we had to work for like 65 years and we had to have kids and we had to get married and find our soulmate? Who decided that? You have your path and everyone else has another path. It doesn't mean that you're on the same timeline or you're checking off the same boxes on a checklist. They're experiencing their experience in this universe and you're experiencing yours. And think about it this way. If you rushed to keep up on someone else's timeline, let's say this person got married and had kids and you know that that's something that you want. And so you rushed into it. You rushed and you got married and you rushed and had kids. Would that have been right for you? Would you forcing yourself into those check boxes, would that have been right for you? Would that person have been your person? Would those children have experienced a good life with you and that person? Do you even know that? You don't. These are things why comparison can steal our joy, because you also don't know what their life is. You can look at it. You can look at what they post on social media. You can be family members with them and still not know exactly what happens behind closed doors. So, comparison will always steal your joy. And you said in there as well of how you should be grateful what you have because someone else wants what you have. That is still comparison. And you're right. There is someone out there that wishes they had what you had. But beyond that, you deserve to love where you are. You deserve to love your life as it is in this present moment without having to justify it by saying, well, someone else has it worse. Yeah, someone is always going to have it worse, and someone is always going to have it better. What if you just loved where you were? And it feels hard. That feels so hard. You're like, yeah, I get it, but how do I do it? And that is the hard piece. And that is something that you have to constantly practice. In today's world, comparison is what everyone forces upon us. Society is constantly comparing. Society is constantly pushing these, people that are just unachievable lifestyles in our faces. And sometimes we need to distance ourselves from that. Maybe it's social media that you need a break from. Maybe it's a gratitude journal, right? your gratitude down every single day, things you're grateful for. Live in that state of gratitude, or maybe even some of the grounding techniques and bringing yourself back to the present moment that I was talking to our anonymous submitter earlier about. Bring yourself back to the present moment. Stop wishing for things that you don't have that others do. Bring yourself to where you are now and be grateful for everything you have. It feels hard, but the more you do it, the easier it will get. Either way, you're doing better than you think you are. The whole fact that you are trying to live in a state of gratitude is better than literally half of this world, okay? Give yourself credit where credit is due. You are doing a wonderful job. Keep going. You're doing awesome. Be grateful for what you have. Be excited for others that have the things you want, and understand that their timeline is not yours. Their life is not yours. Their path is not yours. You are exactly where you are meant to be. I love you. So Sierra actually added on to Jackie's post, and she said, what's crazy is I was coming in here to request something similar. And she says, mine was more geared towards not comparing specific life phases. My fiance and I pretty much are the only ones not married or have kids out of all of our friend groups. We've also been together the second longest out of all of our friends. It's mentally exhausting when all you want is to be a mom and watching all your friends get it, but having to wait for the right time yourself. I try and remind myself that everything happens in time, but it's hard not comparing. Especially at me and my fiance's age, 28 and 30. I always feel like everyone is light years ahead, even though we both work so hard. It can be truly defeating. So, Sierra, I hope that you were able to get a lot out of my response to Jackie, but what I will say is I get it. I really do. It is so hard, and you start getting into this mindset of, why not me? What have I done wrong to not deserve what they have? Why do they get it and I don't? But what I want you to remember is that life is not a race, and you are not behind. You're not behind because, like I was telling Jackie, their timeline is not yours. Their check boxes are not yours. You are on your own path, and you're exactly where you meant to be. And what is very difficult is when you kind of have like this tunnel vision of all of these people getting exactly what you want, right? They're getting the rings and the marriage and the children, and you see yourself as not getting those things. But what if you do see yourself as getting those things at the right time? What if you saw yourself and your significant other as building a solid foundation to welcome a child into? What if you guys saw yourselves as spending time with each other before you welcome a child into this world, and your entire relationship and world as you know it changes? I know it's hard when you see everyone around you kind of getting the things that you want, but you can also have the mindset of, I know that when it's meant to happen, and again, whether you have a higher power or the universe or God or whatever it may be for you, fate, I know that when it is meant to happen, it will happen. I know that whatever is meant to happen for me will come when it is meant to. Right now, your mind is viewing time as the enemy, right? You're seeing all your friends get married and have kids, and you're saying it feels like they're light years ahead of you. But the key piece that I think you're missing is that they are living their lives and you are living yours. Their life is not your life, and your life is not their life. You are on two completely different paths. And like I was explaining to Jackie, I feel like we all have this internal checklist that we have to mark off. But your story was never meant to unfold just like their story. Yours and your fiance's story is completely different from everyone else's. And it will unfold in a way that is unique to the both of you because it's your own path. And while I totally understand that waiting is so hard, I think that because of the wait, you will also have that much more appreciation for when it does come. You will have that much more excitement and joy that you are finally getting this, instead of someone who may have gotten a child by accident. They didn't actually want one right now. Whereas right now your mindset is saying, you didn't even want one. I want one so badly. Why can't I have one? Instead, let them be on their path, and you can say to yourself, I know that I will be overjoyed when I reach this milestone in my life. This is all very hard. Achieving things, comparing with others, trying to understand that your path is as it's meant to be. These are all very difficult concepts. So please be kind to yourself. Please understand that this is not a mindset you will get overnight, but just keep trying. Every time you feel yourself comparing, catch yourself, recognize it. Oh, I'm comparing again. Okay, how can I be grateful for what I have? I am deeply in love with my fiance. We have time to enjoy each other before we welcome another into the life. You know, there are things that you can be grateful for and still want. I hope this helps. I love you so much. Please let me know if you want me to expand on anything more. So moving on to Heather, she wrote in and she said, hi, Erica. I watched your video on Mindset Monday and I wanted to write into you just to receive some insight with something I've been struggling with for 4 years. Back in 2021, I had a second trimester miscarriage that left me utterly devastated. I was diagnosed with acute stress PTSD afterwards. My husband and I have been trying for another baby for 4 years since and have not been successful. We have done 1 round of IVF and plan to transfer the only 2 embryos we have in April. Ever since the endocrinologist told me that my egg quality is low, I have been preparing my heart and mind that these 2 embryos will not make it to pregnancy. The doctor told me that transferring both will increase the chance to 30%. Since I believe that embryos are a life, I wanted to give them a chance, although I know it might lead to a heartbreak. I've always struggled with mental health like anxiety and depression, and infertility alone has been the cherry on top for me. I feel like a failure as a woman because my body will not do what it is supposed to do, and I feel like I'm failing my husband to become a father and my mom to become a grandmother. I also feel like I am competing with time because I am almost 37 years old and I feel like my biological clock is ticking. I read a lot to focus on something else other than infertility. I have deleted all social media accounts other than Book Talk to eliminate seeing pregnancy announcements and gender reveals. I wanted to protect my heart because it makes me feel so sad for myself. Deleting social media has been a big step for me, and I actually feel happier, but the longing for a baby will always be there. Thank you for reading. Heather, my sweet friend, first of all, I just want to say that I see you and I love you. I see your pain, your strength, your love. Like, you are so strong, and I can't imagine how it must feel to carry the weight of this for so long. And yet here you are, still moving forward, still continuing to try, and still holding on to hope. That alone speaks to your resilience. You are so strong, and I hope you know how strong you are. But I want to remind you of something really important. You are not a failure. Your worth is not calculated by your ability to conceive. You are enough, you are worthy, and you are perfect exactly as you are. Now, as we discussed with other friends in this video today, there are things we can and there are things we cannot control. And whether or not you will carry a pregnancy to term is not something that you can control, as hard as that is. The things you think, the things you say, and the things you do are the only three things that you can control. Unfortunately, that means that this entire scenario is out of your hands. And I hope that you have some sort of higher power. And I hope that you are able to understand that you are doing everything in your power, everything that is in your control, you are taking by the reins and putting to use. You are doing everything you can. And you are also making moves for yourself that you know are best for you. Deleting social media, taking yourself away from seeing the things that feel like triggers. This is great for your mental health. You are doing the things you need to do, and you will continue to do those things. It feels really difficult. You are in the throes of it. And I hope as you are in the throes of it, you are allowing yourself to feel those emotions. You are allowing yourself to feel the grief from the loss that happened. And you are allowing yourself to still feel hope. And I hope you let yourself continue to feel hope. I hope you let it continue to carry you through. But my advice to you would be to try not to focus on the outcome. Try not to focus on whether or not the IVF will be successful, and just focus on what is the next right step. Right now, what is your next step? If you need to take it one day at a time, do that. Today, in this moment, what do I need to do? If that answer is nothing, do nothing. If that answer is, I need to read to take my mind off of it, do that. Do whatever you need to do to be able to stay in this present moment, because everything else is out of your control. I hope you understand. So earlier we talked, if you watched the earlier part of this video, earlier we talked about dissociating and numbing. And I feel like you might think that reading is part of that as well. But there is a fine line of dissociating and numbing, and also doing something for yourself as a act of self-care or self-love, right? If you are allowing yourself to feel the feelings, if you're allowing yourself to grieve, if you're allowing yourself to feel sad, if you're allowing yourself to work through the worries that you feel, and you're not avoiding them through reading, but you need to read to occupy your mind, that can be a form of self-care, especially as you have such a long waiting period between your next steps, right? You might have your next step in sight, but that next step might be April. And you have to get yourself through to April. So as long as you continue to still have healthy feelings and emotions and making sure you're still taking care of yourself, read. Allow yourself to do the things that still bring you joy. That is a form of self-care and self-love. As you prepare for April, I hope that you allow yourself to hold on to hope. Not because you need to have the toxic positivity, right? Not because you need to force yourself to believe it's gonna happen, but because your story is still unfolding. You are still walking this path, and until you know how the chapter ends, allow yourself to feel hopeful. It can be hard because a lot of times we want to prepare ourselves for heartbreak. We want to prepare ourselves for every scenario. If this happens, I'm going to feel this way. And if this happens, I'm going to feel this way. And that is anxiety. That's us ruminating through all different possibilities. But I would encourage you, if you can catch yourself doing that, I would encourage you to try to stop. Because the reality of it is, you do not know the outcome. all you can do is be in this present moment. And in this present moment, I feel hopeful. And no matter the outcome, I know I will handle it when it comes. No matter what that outcome may be in April, I will deal with it in April. Today, I feel hopeful. Today, I feel excited. I just hope you know, Heather, that no matter what, you are not alone in your experiences. And I hope that in time, you also allow yourself to reach out to a community that has experienced some of the same for you. That has been one of my biggest saving graces, is being able to talk to people who have been through the same thing as me. I completely understand distancing yourself from the communities that cause you harm or trigger you in any way. Seeing those announcements, seeing the baby showers, those can be hurtful. But talking with other people who have been through what you have been through can be healing in its own way. Knowing you are not alone, as human beings, it is in our nature to not want to feel alone. So if right now is not the time, that's okay. But I hope that as time continues on, you allow yourself to reach out and allow yourself to be vulnerable with a group of people that have been through what you've been through, and allow yourself to hear others' stories, whether or not they end in a way that you hope yours does or does not end in. But it can be nice to not feel alone. Either way, I love you. I see your strength. You are incredible. And I hope so much for you that this journey ends exactly how you want it to end. But also, if it doesn't, you are worthy. You are enough. And this path you are walking will end exactly how it's supposed to. And I hope you believe that. I love you so much. And I hope this helps. Friends, these were hard topics today. And I hope I did justice in answering them in the best way that I could. Even still today, some of these topics are not something that I have had to deal with, and some of them are sensitive, and I hope that I handled them with grace. And if I didn't, if you feel offended or hurt in any way from what I said, I hope that you are able to completely leave that and not take it with you. But I hope that anything I did say that was helpful, you're able to take and absorb. I love you all so much. I'm doing the best I can. Please be reminded that I am not a licensed professional. This is just things that I have learned in my mindset training, in my reading, everything I've read, all the courses I've taken. So please know I am no professional in any way. I am just trying to do my best to help you and help you through your situations. I love you so much, and I wish you the best. I hope you have a wonderful Monday and a happy mindset.